Welcome. You've found the Effin Heifers, the podcast where women of all ages, stages, and levels of chaos come to graze. Please welcome your hosts, Ashley and Lisa.
Here we go. Hi, Heifers, and hi, my favorite heifer. How are you today?
Hey, Heifer. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Listen, if you're just joining us, we're the Effin Heifers, both of us, but we want you to be part of our herd. So if you're just coming upon us, this is where we kind of talk about everything. We talk about life. We talk about kids. We talk about problems. We talk about work. We talk about Bravo. We talk about reality TV, talk about products we're loving. We talk about all kinds of stuff. We just keep it real. And we want the herd to weigh in, let us know what they're thinking, and keep it real with us. So that said, today, we always try to pick a topic, and I'm just going to warn you, we stay loosely in, in the outline of that topic. But today we're going to talk a little bit about reinvention and what to do when life happens, because life always happens to all of us at some point. So I think Ashley and I both, even though she's decades younger than me, have had our turns at reinvention for sure. And a lot maybe just in the past few years, so we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to talk about some of the public reinventions that we see, mainly on our favorite Bravo celebrities, because there's been some reinvention there. Some of it okay, some of it not so okay, not so great. So let's get started. So let's talk a little bit about work reinvention too, because that's heavy on my mind right now. I mentioned a little bit in the first episode that Ashley was my manager, the best boss I've ever had, and then she turned into a best friend I've ever had, which is really kind of nice, even despite our generational difference. But unfortunately, the guillotine came for me, as I like to say, this year. And after 6 years in the same job, I have to reinvent myself. And I was thinking a little bit about that. Now, I know, Ashley, let's talk about you first, because I know you've had some different iterations in your career. You've reinvented yourself a couple of times, I think.
I have. I think my first reinvention was just my invention, right?
Right.
So my first career invention, I just, was 18, 19 years old. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was scared to go to college. So I went the Susie Homemaker route, and didn't really know where I wanted to go with a career. So I said, in the meantime, I want to do trade, right?
Yeah.
So
smart. Really, honestly smart. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So customer service background in high school and post high school, and then I went to do a trade. So I did cosmetology, got my hair license, and then worked retail even after I finished that for a little bit before I transitioned and reinvented myself from a retail aspect into the hair world, which is still service and retail in a lot of ways, right? But you're also, any way you look at it, you still are in a self-employment situation where you're building yourself, right? Because you're building your own clientele, even if you are part of a shop, not necessarily just renting your chair. So I did that for about 8 years and found I liked the people more than the service of it, and got really kind of burnt out on the hair lifestyle. And quite frankly, it wasn't like that was my passion anyways. I just needed something. Then I found myself pregnant with my first kid. And again, the hair industry, self-employment, you don't have all the perks or benefits of, say, corporate life. So that's when I decided it was time to reinvent myself and move into the corporate world so I could take care of myself a little bit more of a grown-up way, and my child. Because even though I was in a committed relationship at the time, we were not married, and I didn't want to just rush out for that. Ended up doing that anyways. That's a different story. But that's why
That's another
myself.
episode.
That's a season.
That's a whole episode.
That's a season for sure. So, knowing I was restarting, even though I had a really good solid head on my shoulders, I knew I needed to start at the bottom and work my way up, because I didn't have on paper the education or the experience to just jump high. Or in any kind of leadership or management type role in the corporate world. So I started at the bottom and quickly became somebody who the team could count on, and was recognized for that, I think, pretty quickly, and moved into more corporate position within the organization and really reinvented myself in that way, and was able to really grow myself and the
Yeah.
position, I think, in my years there. And now I find myself kind of wanting to reinvent myself again, as much as I still do love and need my corporate job. I want to reinvent myself again and kind of show my personality a little bit more,
I love
which
that.
is why we're here, right?
Well, I always think the world needs Ashley, so that's a good thing. Yeah.
Here I am, world.
There you are.
Here I
I love it.
am. The
I can ask you
effing
a
herd
question,
is here for you.
and I don't even know the answer to this, so I'm
Hmm.
super interested to know the answer to this question. How long did it take you to go from an entry-level role into a management role? How many
Into a
years?
management role.
Because I think the listeners would be interested too, because, you got to grind. Look, we're not saying
Yeah.
it's like tweedle, bewitched, tweedle
Hmm.
my nose and I'm in a management job. That's not how it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No. So I started my position, and keep in mind, like I said, I was pregnant. So you've got to take 6 weeks, because back then you only got 6 weeks. We didn't get the perks of these parental leaves that we have now. So I had
yeah.
6 weeks
Oh
off
my
in
God.
between there from when I started, gave birth, and then about a year and a half, I was getting opportunity to really flex
I love that.
that I was more than an entry level
I love
person.
that.
And by, like you said, grinding, right? Being open, asking questions, always saying yes,
Yep.
getting,
Taking initiative, because
taking
you are very
initiative.
much a person who takes, I've seen it with my own eyes. You're very much a person who takes initiative. Yeah.
And I think that's the huge thing. But I mean,
Yeah.
within 2 weeks of me starting just kind of a temporary assignment in helping, and it wasn't even a full 40-hour week assignment. It was a couple hours. I was still doing my regular position for a couple hours a week also.
Oh,
I got a sticky note from my supervisor saying, "It seems like you've been doing this for years."
I love that. I love
And
it.
so it was, like I said, it was a temporary position. So it was back to, square one. Sometimes you don't always go up, up, up the ladder. Sometimes it's a parallel or a lateral move, or sometimes you go up and then you go back down and then you go back up 2 steps. Sometimes it is a step forward and a step back, 2 steps
Yep.
forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
But you got to keep going. You don't let that stop you. And you certainly don't just say, I did it once, so I'm entitled to continue to do it or do it more. And I
What
think
a
that's one of the
great
things that
point.
people really miss nowadays. Just because you did it once doesn't mean you automatically are entitled to do it again, or you
Oh
can
my
do it again. You have to
gosh.
prove yourself day in and day out. But
This
within
is
about,
such a great point.
thank you. Yeah, and it's true.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many things in talking about generational differences, right? And we can talk to that because we're different. We come from different generations. We're raising kids or raised kids in different generations, and we see all these different mindsets
Crazy.
coming from these different generations, right?
Yep.
My kids are young and they think, they're not in the workforce, but they think I can go to Morgan Whalen, I call it Whalen, concerts and Taylor Swift concerts and Disney
Yeah.
World and all of those things whenever they want to.
Yeah.
And get the neatos and get the dumpling neatos and the hottest trend, the
Yeah.
Labubus and now the
Labubu.
Lafufus, the
Yes.
fakes
Whatever's new.
are cool too.
Yeah.
They think they can get it all because we want to give them all, right? Because
We do.
me, and I know you, our generations came from, we didn't get everything we wanted.
My
Our parents,
gosh.
we saw our parents sacrifice and grind, and
Yep.
us still have not everything we wanted under the Christmas tree, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So,
Oh, listen, it's a sticking point. Not to go off topic, but my easy bake oven that I never got, I'm still spicy about not getting an easy bake.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the Barbie dream house for me.
There it
Never
is.
got it. Or the Jeep,
Dang.
Did Abby
I
have
mean,
the Jeep? No. Did she have the dream house? Absolutely.
yep.
And
Exactly.
the LOL house,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, the LOL surprise. I bought that for my granddaughter.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
the LOL house. That's right.
And
But
now
no,
it's mini brands.
but it is, yeah. But it is interesting that, sometimes people see that kind of rise through the ranks. They see that kind of success and they think, Oh, must be nice. You just got there. Frankly, nothing nice about it. It's not how it works. You're working
You're
and you're
working.
grinding. And I don't care who you are or that's the other thing. Check yourself, man, because when I think about, we're going to talk about reinvention. My gosh, I spent 17 years as a musician, professional musician. We know that. And I was at a point in my life where it was not a life that was conducive to having children. I did not, oh gosh, there's a fire engine. We'll just acknowledge it. But it was not a life conducive to having kids, right? And so I knew I wanted to make a change. I'd wanted to go to law school. Very fortunate, had the support of my husband, because I dropped out of college to be a musician. Who wouldn't? I was making money. And so forget college. So I had to go back and finish my bachelor's. Well, then after I got done with my bachelor's, I didn't go straight to law school because I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And, we've got these kids and we're trying to raise 3 kids. It's not cheap to raise 3 kids. But by that time, they're getting to like early elementary school, late elementary school, middle school age by the time I finished my bachelor's, right? So I spent a year teaching elementary school music, which was in my wheelhouse. I didn't have a degree for it. I had a bachelor's degree and they hired me because they knew my background, right? Yeah. I was not an elementary school music teacher by any stretch of the imagination. So that was a reinvention and hard. I'm going to say props to those people. Got a year. I was like, I can't do it. I did a great Christmas concert. Listen, not to blow my own horn, but it was a good Christmas concert.
I bet it was a production.
I wanted to die by the end of it. So I was like, I don't know how people do this on the day-to-day. Honestly, teachers, my daughter-in-law is a teacher. Oh my, it's got to be a calling. It has to be. Yeah. Because then I still had a couple years. I was like, I had applied to a law school. I got in, didn't feel like it was the right timing for us in a lot of ways, financially, for the kids, whatever. I taught high school Latin for 2 years, high school Latin and journalism. Yeah, at the same high school where my daughter-in-law teaches now. And her mother taught there as well. That's how my daughter-in-law met my son. That's how they got to know each other because I taught with her mom. Her mom was the head of our foreign language department. Yeah. So anyway, I taught Latin for 2 years, but then I was like, I am not called to this. I love the kids, did not love like the administration, the bureaucracy of it. I hated it, right? Love the teaching, love the kids, hated all of it. And let's face it, I'm not the best morning person. And when you have to be at your job at 7:30, and that struggle is real. I had some very nice seniors who would, I guess I can admit this now, who would go out and get me Starbucks in the morning because they were smart. They were going to get a good grade no matter what. So I was like, can you please go get me some coffee? And that's when, high school campuses, they could still kind of come and go as they pleased.
Yeah. They
weren't on lockdown, that's another sad thing now, right? But then I got into law school, ended up going to law school and, ended up starting my law career. So there's a big reinvention. And I enjoyed that for a lot of years. I did. And then, as you know, I was doing some public interest law for a long time, about 10 years, and handling some very heavy topics, dealing with some very heavy things, going to visit people in prison, helping people who are coming out of addiction. There's a heaviness there. I mean, I just passed the anniversary of a death of somebody who I helped, because not everybody is a happy ending. Not every story is a happy story, right? And that'll start to really take its toll on you. And we had moved from Florida to Vegas for my husband's job, back to Florida. We were in Vegas for 10 years, moved back to Florida. And he said, just don't work for a while. And I didn't really love that. I just felt I was still really too young for that. I was only in my 50s. And I was like, I'm not ready to retire and I don't want to retire. And I'm not just going to twiddle my thumbs all day and try to figure out something to do, And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really did not know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to do something. And I wanted to do something that I could do from home. Because at that time I was already kind of going through some things physically, having some physical struggles and stuff, right? And so I thought, just want to do something I can do from home. And I saw the job pop up. And it was also an entry-level job. And then I was in it for I think I was probably there 9 months when I met you.
I think so.
Maybe about 8 or 9 months, right? And you had posted a stretch assignment. And I thought, well, I'm either going to leave, because that's the point I was at, right? I was like, I'm either going to leave or I'm going to do something different that I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah.
And I ended up just thriving, loving it,
For sure.
And it was a whole different kind of thing for me. But all that to say, I didn't come into my entry-level job. In fact, I almost didn't get my entry-level job. I didn't come into my entry-level job with any kind of expectation, even though I had a law degree. It wasn't like, well, I'm expecting, here I am with my law degree. No, I just came in to do the job and to do it well and to see where it went, or if it was even something I could do, something I wanted to do, what other opportunity was out there. And so when I had the interview, the initial interview for the entry level job, which was a customer service job, right?
Yeah.
So for the entry level job, the girl who was recruiting said, do you think you're going to be able to take direction or instruction? And I'm sure she thought because of my background, right?
Of course.
Because she saw it, and she's like, and I'm sure the thought is, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah, this is way above your resume is way above entry level and a different wheelhouse, a totally different
But I didn't
wheelhouse,
come in with that attitude.
and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I just came in with, I want to learn. I want to do something different. I honestly need a break. I need a break from all the heaviness. And this was the perfect break because let's face it, it wasn't, and I don't mean this, gosh, I'm trying not to come across in any kind of bad way. I want everybody to really know my heart here. You know what I mean? But it wasn't a job that I knew at the beginning was going to challenge me. I will say I was a little surprised at how challenged I was because I thought, this will be easy. It's very simple. Just answering people's questions, making sure that they're getting what they need, kind of just, flipping between screens, providing information, everything that I was doing. But it is more challenging than you think it is. So all that to say, be kind to those people on the phone,
That's
please,
right.
because my goodness. And, those calls come in back to back to back to, that's, I think, what surprised me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I don't think
it's
that was not
amazing.
my expectation.
No, not at all. It's amazing how many Christmases one person can ruin. And you were that person. I was that person, right?
You
Customer service.
ruined my Christmas. Me personally, I ruined it.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. Or you people, us people ruined Christmas.
Yeah. I had
Guess
times
what?
I cried because people were mean. They were
Yeah.
so mean. I had one person tell me up and down how stupid I was.
Yes.
I was like, oh,
Just die. Get hit by a bus, they'll tell you.
you are
You
so
think you
stupid.
you think keyboard warriors are fierce? You ain't
Mm-mm.
seen nothing like Betsy behind her phone.
Isn't that the truth? You know what? I am always very cognizant. Look, I've always been kind when I call in anyway. I always feel like you're going to get what you put out. If you're nice, you're going to get nice back. If you're not nice,
Hmm.
you're not. And sometimes you put out nice and you get nasty back just because somebody's having a bad day. And I just
Yeah.
chalk that up to there's something going on in their life that's making them this way, right? So
Yep.
I'm just gonna take a deep breath and let them do their thing and not let
Or
it
that
get me,
bus will come
right?
at some point.
That's there's the difference between that bus is coming for you.
At some point, that bus will
There
catch
are
up
some
with
people
you.
who deserve a bus. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's another story. But I will say I always lead with, look, I know this isn't your fault, but I'm extremely frustrated because you do call out of frustration, right?
Yeah, you're calling there's a problem when you're
But you
calling
just
somebody
can't take it
customer
out on the
service.
person. Anyway, I didn't mean to. But that's as far as reinvention. Yeah, reinvention is, but it's terrifying, isn't it? It's scary because it's the unknown.
Absolutely.
I was afraid on my first day of my entry level job because I was like, am I going to be okay at this?
Hmm.
You know?
What am
Yeah.
I signing up for, right? You don't know. You think you know because you've called.
Yeah.
You've been on the other side of that call.
Yep. Yep. And even moving into different positions in the company because got, uh, I had a nice little career path that I followed,
Yeah.
really kind of a nice career path and did get some pretty hefty promotions, which was nice. Moved into like where I had a team and stuff. But each one of those, there's some trepidation that comes with that. There's some definitely fear and nerves. Like it's exciting to reinvent. Like, look, we're reinventing right now. I'm excited to do this podcast. I'm excited to see, honestly, like who we meet. Like who's our herd going to be? What kind
Yeah.
of stories? I want to hear people's stories. Like what kind of stories are we going to hear? How have other people reinvented themselves, right? And so,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's all super important.
for sure.
Girl, that's what I got.
Love it.
All that to say, it's scary and exhilarating. And honestly, I do want to get into a little bit of like how it can also be intimidating financially, right? Because look, we all have to make money. We have to work. It's just reality. That's life. We don't live on love and buttons.
Nope, sure don't.
Wouldn't that be nice? But we don't. And then when you're stepping into a new thing, like it was scary for me to go back to school with the kids because it's like, how is this financially going to work? Because that put a lot of pressure, of course, on my husband. And, there are things we missed years of vacations and stuff because there wasn't the money for it. So my sacrifice was also my family's sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
And then there's that mommy guilt with putting that on the, like, well, should I just be working? Should I just be grinding? Should I put this off? Should I put this off? I always tell people it's never too late to go back. Do you know what I mean? Look, I started law school when I was I graduated from law school when I was, sorry, it's going to take me a second here. Graduated from law school in 2000 and I was born in 62. So I was 44 when I graduated from law school.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So all that to say, you can always reinvent yourself.
You can always reinvent yourself, right?
Yeah.
Not only career-wise, right? I mean, I've had to reinvent myself personally a couple of times, failed relationships,
Sure.
that kind of stuff, and that's hard too. That's a totally different reinvention, right? I've had 2 failed marriages,
sure.
one with kids.
Yep.
So yeah, you've got all that. Where do I go? Where do I physically go? I can't stay here, or he can't stay here.
Yeah.
Something's got to go.
That's
You go
scary.
from a 2 income to a 1 income.
That's
you
scary.
Go from having your kid every day to sharing time to missing holidays, reinventing yourself that way. There's that part too. So.
And like, what does the new normal look like? And
Right.
Yeah.
And what does that new normal look like when you can co-parent and when you can't? And that's something that I deal with mine, right?
I know you do.
Parallel parenting with somebody. That's a constant reinvention and a constant struggle and constant which way is up, north, south. Some days you may know, some you usually don't.
And I'm sad to say, I don't think that ever ends until they turn 18 and maybe not even then. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like, as you know, we have a difficult situation. My oldest son, as his oldest child is, he's divorced from the mother of his oldest child. And it has been nothing but a battle since she was 18 months old. And I turned to him a couple weeks ago and I said, this isn't going to end. It's not going to end till she turns 18 and she's out of high school. And I said, and maybe not even then.
And not then. And I can tell you firsthand, I don't have children that are, but I have by a degree or 2 of separation, right? People who have dealing with the same circumstances, same difficult relationships. And it's not, because after 18, then it's college, then it's cars, then it's weddings.
Oh, weddings, grandbabies,
holidays with grandbabies. It's not going to end. Unfortunately, it doesn't end.
You're just tied to that person.
You are forever tied to that person.
And like I say, and I know it might sound harsh, but when's that bus coming for them? Because that's going to be the only end to this suffering.
That is the end to some of the suffering.
Yeah. But that's definitely, like I said, we'll do an episode on relationships and divorce and stuff. We'll get more into that, into custody. But that is its whole own reinvention. Your whole life turns upside down and changes. Like I said, I've seen that pain so closely firsthand with my son. And boy, as a parent, let me tell you, it hits as hard as if it's happening to you. Yeah. It's painful. Yeah, really painful. Yeah. Painful to watch. I just watched him for a long time just become like a shell of who he was. Yeah.
There's nothing that will break you down more than fighting for your child.
For sure. Yeah. That's what I admire about you. You're very resilient. I feel like you've handled it. You might not agree with me, but I think you've handled it so gracefully, much more gracefully than I would have handled this. I mean, I'm ready to bring the knives out. I'm ready to stab,
there's
I'm feeling stabby.
Nothing more than if you can't beat them, join them, but boy, you can't.
Oh, no.
When they go low, you go high.
You have to.
Right?
Oh my God.
Have to. You have to rise above.
Yeah.
Because, boy, it's so easy to go play in the dirt with them.
It sure is.
But at the end of the day, that's not what your child deserves. And at the end of the day, you got to look at yourself and are you really that person?
Yep. And do you want to be that person? Right. That's
Right.
the thing. Like you have to be able to get up and look at yourself in the mirror.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and right, because look, like you said, like, oh, you admire, girl, no, heifer, no, right? There are things I have said,
Well,
ways I've reacted that I'm not proud of, right?
oh gosh,
But
that's
I
all of
have
us.
tried to grow from them. And some
Yeah.
days, right, I'm not perfect, right?
Yep.
I balk.
None of us. Listen, I want to be your friend. I don't want to be friends with anybody who's perfect. There's nothing
But
worse than a perfect person who knows
gosh,
everything.
look, and I'm here to tell you all my flaws, right?
Same.
Let me tell you before you can tell me.
That's right. I love those people who know it all. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I was going to touch on a little bit of the legal of reinvention, just a
Yeah.
little bit. You know, like there's a funny thing that came up with this last one, with my guillotine, as you will. You know, you get a severance. I have read so many places, like on the subreddits and on LinkedIn, people talking about severance. Of course, I'm bound by an NDA I can't talk about my severance. But what I will say is there's a lot of people who say, can you negotiate? I'm going to just say probably best to be grateful for what you get. Because some of the stories I've read, I'm shook. There's people who don't get severance at all. There's people who maybe get like a week or 2 weeks. Or so if you have an employer who says, hey, you get a week for every year you've worked here, you get 2 weeks for every year you've worked here, just be grateful and take it.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there who aren't getting it at all, you know,
Yeah.
and think of it as like oh, and for God's sake, this is not legal advice. I always have to say that, but do not cash out your 401k. Do anything but that.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself behind the 8 ball for the future.
Yeah.
If I can say one thing, that's what I'd say. Last resort. I get that sometimes it's the last resort. And if it's the last resort, you got to do it to survive. No judgment here. I get it, right? But just don't let it be the first resort.
Yeah.
You know, make sure that as soon as you get your notice, even if you're getting severance, put in for unemployment, do all those things to keep yourself safe and and listen, start cutting out those subscriptions if you have to, you know, like we don't need Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and this and
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a little bit of belt tightening. I don't think I'm telling anybody anything they don't know, but sometimes you just need to hear it sometimes, you know?
Sometimes you need to hear it, right? Again,
Sometimes.
that's going back to some of those like, well, but I've earned it. Maybe you have earned it, but you're not in a place to support it right now.
Correct.
Sometimes things got to give.
Something's got to give. Yeah. So there's that. Anyway, let's get into the bravo of it all, because, you know, I love the bravo of it all. And I'm very much riding on a bravo high right now. Yes, bravo, effing bravo. That's right. Mention it all. Anyway, I'm in a bravo high right now because I just watched the first part of the Beverly Hills reunion this morning.
Tell me all about it.
Ta. And talk about people reinventing themselves. I was thinking about, knowing that we were going to be talking about this, I was thinking about, which of the housewives, have we really seen a reinvention? I'm going to say, lover or hater, Erica Jane. I feel like she has really reinvented herself. First, she was, when we first saw her, because, boy, they showed old clips before of like her with Tom, and, you know, how she was always very kind of, you know, always what Tom wanted, very subservient to Tom. She wasn't this kind of tough facade that we see, you know, we've seen a lot of like morphing in Erica, right? Because first she was very much she is a trophy wife, let's face it. He's a high-powered, wealthy attorney, and she was a trophy wife, and she liked it, and she liked having the money, and she liked, you know, she had her own little like sacred chapel in her house, if you remember it.
Yeah, I sure
She
do.
had this whole, like it was a whole facade, right?
Yeah.
And then man did that crumble.
Sure did.
And in a very public way.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of collateral damage. You know, it wasn't just like, oh, they have a messy divorce, oh, maybe he had an affair or something. No, he stole from people. Like he cheated people in the lowest point in their lives. He did what no attorney should ever do. The first thing is you always have a fiduciary duty to your client to take care of them. And what did he do? He robbed them. It's disgusting, right? Yeah. And let's face it, she was spending the money, and so that stuck to her. So that's a tough place to reinvent yourself from. I would say she's almost sometimes, I felt like she went kind of back to likable when she moved into her little like villa-esque kind of house, that little villa that she was
Yeah.
redecorating and stuff. She seemed much softer and kind of subdued and, I'm sure
Human.
everything, yes, much more kind of real, not so much that super harsh facade,
Hmm.
wasn't calling everybody a see you next Tuesday all the time. And, she really kind of changed. She did her whole Erica Jane persona on stage, but then that seemed to not go so well either, right? She did like the Vegas show and stuff, but then that didn't seem to go anyplace. So now it's time to kind of pivot again, right? And
Yeah.
so she's got this kind of softer side and stuff, and we see her with her therapist. But now again, we're seeing her get like a little harder again. And I'm not sure now where are we going? And now she's a DJ. And I'm like, well, girl, I mean, girl, you do you. Reinvent yourself.
We're
But
gonna reinvent
DJ
ourselves.
Eric,
Next up, effing
DJ,
DJs.
and DJs, DJ Erica Jane, I was like,
Yeah.
ma'am, she's like, nah, I get to wear latex and play other people's music. And I thought, well, it's a career choice.
It's a choice. It pays the bills.
Well, and that's it, right? So do I falter for that? No. And I'm just thinking, and honestly, Dorit too, kind of a reinvention there, right? Because she was always in PK's shadow or whatever. Now I don't know what she's smoking. I don't know what she's doing.
Well, I think she probably always smoked, to be quite honest.
I think
right?
so too.
I
She's
think,
way too comfortable with it.
yeah. I don't think that's the new invention, the reinvention. I think the cigarettes have been there for quite some time.
But now
I
she's
think,
kind of got this hard facade or something. And I'm like, what's going
yeah,
on? Yeah.
yeah, right. And I think, look, her and PK are definitely going through
Oh,
something. God only knows truly what she knows that we don't know, right? Because of all of the housewives, I think the Beverly Hills ones for sure. That's a different world. There
oh.
is some kind of force field or portal or something that is over there.
Agreed.
Right? And so
That ultra wealthy kind of that life they live that just
yeah,
seems, that's why I like watching it because it just feels surreal to me.
it is. It's something
It's
that
just
I
so
know nothing
surreal.
of, you know?
Yeah. I went and spent $4,000 on a few pieces of clothing.
I don't think you can add up everything in my wardrobe and equal near that.
Correct.
I know you
Yeah.
can't.
Same. Yeah.
But I think, yes, right? Like, think pre-social media, right? There was this whole California and the glitz and the glamour,
Oh,
right? It
sure.
was a
Yeah.
whole different world.
Yeah.
It was over there,
Right.
in Hollywood land, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And the
Well, La La
beauty,
Land, right?
La La Land, right? And that was one of the so exciting things when reality TV started. And I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah.
Denise Richards. It's complicated. Isn't that what her
That's right. It was like a look behind the gates all of a sudden.
behind the
It's like,
gates? And it was like
and that's what OC was. Listen, OC
that's what
was the
OC
original,
was.
and that's OC was a
Absolutely.
look behind the gates, how they lived. I was like, oh,
Oh
yeah,
my gosh, the
captivated immediately.
absolutely. The
Yeah,
sky tops, the tennis lessons. This is things you hear about. That's
yeah,
not a reality in my world.
right.
Even the doctors' kids and doctors' wives that,
It's not that kind of rich.
it's not that kind of lifestyle,
No, they're wealthy,
So
but they're not like that uber wealthy
uber
where
wealthy.
they're taking
Yeah.
private jets. They're, like they don't fly commercial usually. It's a whole
Hmm.
different, the way they have that little, like when they go on their trips and they sit in that nice little waiting room where there's, whatever, caviar and fruit or whatever, champagne that's there
Right.
for them. And then they just go out on the tarmac at their leisure and get in their private jet. I mean,
I
wouldn't it
don't
be nice? Once. I'd like to do it once.
remember growing up in school if you sold so much on your playground fundraiser,
Yep.
you'd all get to ride in the limousine to the Chuck E.
That's
Cheese,
right.
right? Or the
Chuck E. Cheese.
Piccolo's Pizza. That's my taste, right? That's my taste of it.
Right.
And talk about my
Living
taste of it. I
large.
forgot we were going that day. I got to ride in the limousine, but I didn't have any cash, so I couldn't play any of the games at the arcade.
Yeah.
That's my reality. It's not a life of privilege.
No. So it's fun to watch.
It's fun to
Right.
watch,
Yeah.
right?
But boy, again, back to the reinvention. My gosh, Dorit, I don't know what Kyle.
I don't know that she's reinventing just yet, right? Right now, I
No,
think she's going to reinvent, right? Right now, we're
she's in
seeing a
some kind of
breakdown.
flux. We are seeing a breakdown for
We're
sure.
seeing a
Yeah.
breakdown of the past, but then we're going to see that reinvention. She's just right now her current state is being broken down, and I don't mean she's being broken,
Yep.
right, or anything, but what she knew is breaking.
Yep.
And then
For
here
sure.
comes the reinvention, and that is going to be interesting.
Agreed. Yeah. And I have to say, like Kyle, I don't think Kyle has ever reinvented herself, to be honest with you. I think
No,
we're just seeing the not
she
nice.
shifts.
We're seeing the not nice side of Kyle now.
Hmm.
Like I think there's been a facade there for a long time, but boy, can she be nasty.
Yeah. She's got
You know,
The Hollywood in her. She's got that old Hollywood blood in her.
she does. She does. She sure does. And then the other one I was thinking about, I just got to say, is Rinna. Because look at Rinna. She was a soap opera star for years and years and years. She could have been just like Susan Lucci, right? Erica Kane
Hmm.
on All My Children. That's all Susan Lucci ever did. She had
Yep.
one career. I was thinking about that too.
Eileen Davidson.
How some people never reinvent. They have one career. That is their one career. That is what they do their whole lives. Part of me thinks that would be nice. Also, part of me thinks that would be boring, so I don't know. I mean, to each his own, as my
Look,
mother
a
would
soap
say,
opera
right?
star, right? So
Oh,
a
yeah.
soap opera star, that soap opera character is constantly being invented,
It's a kind of a nice
right?
gig, right? You always know you have a paycheck. It's
You always know,
nice, right?
yeah, and you always know there's that some look, she's gonna be dead, she's gonna have amnesia, she's gonna be cheating, she's gonna be
She's
lying,
going to be
stealing,
pregnant. She's going
and
to be,
then
yeah.
right, right,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden she's
Yep.
gonna be her own evil twin.
That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh. That's right. So, but Rinna, all those years as soap opera, right? And then we kind of didn't see her. And then she shows up on Real Housewives. And listen, I love her or hate her because she's very polarizing, right? She's very
She
polarizing.
is.
But she's an icon as far as I'm concerned. She is a Real Housewives icon because boy, could she really stir the pot. She did some terrible stuff. I mean, she was really terrible, but I loved every minute of it because I was always like, what's she going to do next?
Yep. So yes, Rena is polarizing. Rena, right? I have a tug
Same.
a war with
I
her
do too.
on like her, hate her, love her, despise her. She made a good housewife
She was
most
a
of the
great
time.
housewife.
She's given us some great one-liners too, right?
Oh my
Let's talk
gosh.
about it. Oh, you better believe we're going to talk about it. My fave,
I
right?
know. I know. Yeah.
But I think the thing that really always kind of gets me about Rena is that Rena always looked at that as a job. She
She
was
did.
always
She was always
acting.
working. She
She
was
was always
always working.
working. So, as good as she was, at the end of the day, it is reality
At which she
TV.
didn't give us.
And she wasn't giving us real,
We don't really know
right?
what her relationship is with her girls, with Harry. We don't know. We only know what she gave us,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But
So
we don't
I
really know,
applaud
like, yeah,
the what is it, method acting, when you always stay in character, because that is what
yep.
she does, right?
Oh, for sure.
So but that is, that is where I have that tug of war. Was she good? Oh yes. Did she deliver so well,
Yep.
so often, right? But what was real when you're watching
Oh,
reality? And this is, again,
yeah.
this is why I love reality, but I as we get more and more into the reality world, and like reality TV consumes us so much more. Your reality TV and that, what's your storyline, and why are you
Yeah.
going to stay captivating, so you're asked back
Yeah.
season after season, so you now have this as a job.
I
It
don't like that. That's what's
taints.
ruined it.
That is what's ruined it, but that's also what's tainting real people's reality, that they think
Correct.
that the sky is always falling, that
Yep.
somebody's got Munchausen's, that somebody's always got to be cheating on somebody, there's got to
Yep.
be a scandal with
Yep.
stuff. And that is where we're blurring lines of reality TV
Yep.
and reality,
Correct.
because people like Ren. And Rena is not the only one that's done that. Let's be very clear on that,
Oh my gosh,
right?
no.
But
Yeah.
she was just very obvious about it, right?
She was. Yeah.
But that's what burns me,
Yeah.
is
But I will
is
say
it
her
starts to.
again, her reinvention though. Soap opera star,
Yep.
housewife, Then she went and did this whole like kind of high fashion thing that she was doing for a long time, which I
Yeah.
kind of found fascinating because I was like, who dis? All of a sudden. And I hate to say it because we do have so much age discrimination, right? But at her age, it's surprising
Yeah.
because usually we don't see someone that age
No, I agree. I think
in
it's amazing for
haute
her to have
couture.
her supermodel era and
Was she
like,
60? She's in her
yeah,
60s. That's
yeah,
wild.
yeah. And
I
let me
can't
tell you
hardly get my
some,
hair to
I
look good
love,
for this podcast. And
right?
she's dancing. I do love the dancing. It
Uh,
just cracks me up. The
yeah.
constant dancing videos. I'm like,
She's always on. I gotta give it to her. She's
she's
always
thirsty
on.
and she knows it and she just owns it, which I guess,
Owns it.
okay with. Yeah,
Yep.
because that's just who she is.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's just who she's been. I will say, what you're talking about, what's reality, what's not. I think, what popped into my head? One of the most real moments I think was so funny was when Sutton was yelling at Crystal in Rena's backyard and said, and your ugly leather pants.
Yes.
That was such a, we do get those real moments that I feel like aren't scripted at all.
Those are the best.
I still laugh about that.
Those are
Yeah.
those best moments, right? Yeah, there are some housewives that that they are fed lines and they
Yes.
are
Oh, yeah.
scripted
Yeah.
lines or reads or takedowns,
Oh, my
right?
God. Your ugly leather pants.
But ugly leather pants.
That kind of Southern Belle accent that she has. So
Yes.
funny. Oh, my gosh. And I was thinking, too, about how some people should have reinvented themselves and have. I'm looking at you, Teresa. I feel like she came back from prison the same way she went in.
She sure did. Love her or hate her.
There's
She did
no
not change.
self-reflection. There's no self-reflection. There's no growth. There's no, we're just flatlining. We're just going to be who we are.
I'm going to make an argument to that.
I'll take
because
it.
she did leave Joe.
Well, thank God.
Right? But
What does it take, though? Only because he couldn't come back. Let's talk about this. If he could have come back, like if he was allowed in the United States again, because remember, he was deported.
Right.
So if he was allowed back in the U.S., would she still be with him?
That's a great question.
Pathetic.
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I don't. I say that because seeing how...
Well, he really put her through it.
He really put her through it. But seeing how she interacted with him that first time when they were on camera together afterwards, and he was kind of like, you're my wife. And she's like, am I though? You could see something changed to her.
Shifted.
Now, and I
there
will
was a
say
shift.
this,
okay,
right?
so maybe there was a shift. Okay, we'll give that there.
So, right? But I agree. As far as where do I hold myself responsible for any of this?
Yeah.
There was none of that, right?
Oh my gosh.
But
no self-reflection at all. Just no sense of any kind of trying to grow. There's no sense of personal growth there. She's just not interested.
No.
She's not interested.
Not at all, right?
I guess she's just unbothered. Okay.
And that's the Jersey that we love of her, right?
Yeah, that is the Jersey that we love of her.
All. So, but I want to back up just a second here,
Sure.
talking about how he went away, because this is, I think, something that not everybody does experience, right?
Right.
Their husband going away to prison or them going away to prison.
Yeah.
But those extended time periods when you are away from your spouse, right? You can be madly in love with your spouse, and then they have, for whatever reason, periods of away, right?
Yeah, right.
Service members, particularly, right?
Sure, of course, yeah.
And to say that to go to my story back just a little bit, my first marriage was with a sailor, right? And we were married, for 6 months, 8 months before he went out on a 6-month deployment.
Oh.
And everything was fine, us leading up to his deployment. And then everything was fine away from deployment. No concerns, no any of those kind of things. And this was before, before social media. So you would send letters and packages, care packages, and you just really do it and all that to make sure that they know you're there, right? And they're being thought of while they're fighting wars or sitting in the ocean like a sitting duck or not, right? Whatever they're doing out there.
Scary.
Catching airplanes, catching rays, whatever.
Gosh.
But coming back them coming back off of a deployment for 6 months. There's one that's been out for almost a year now. Next month will be a year. And seeing that person, your other half, or right,
Yeah.
for the first time, it's like a brand new person.
That's wild.
You know, minimal contact
Yep.
or conversation, no physical interactions,
Yeah.
probably no face-to-face, no FaceTime, maybe a FaceTime here or there now.
Sure.
But that is quite something. And that's quite trying on a relationship too, especially if
I
there's
can't
any strain or
imagine.
stress in that relationship to start with. But
Well, I
you
would
do
think
have
in
to
6
take
months you
some
start
time.
living your own life. You come
Yeah.
into a different rhythm, right?
Absolutely. And you hear it, right? At this time we didn't have children, so it was just us. So we just had to take a weekend, right? And just kind of like, so you really have to learn that person again, right? Because
Yeah.
6 months you do change as a person,
You
right?
do.
You lose weight,
Yeah.
you gain weight, you've started working out, you've quit going to the gym, you started, you know,
Maybe start a new
whatever,
job.
a
You
podcast,
start
a new
yeah,
job, you've gotten a
exactly.
new
Yeah.
position within work or started
Yeah.
school or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then, yeah, especially for those with kids, that's a reinvention right there. Going from a single family or a single parent to now
Yep.
all of a sudden you have another parent back in the house and they're used to the structure of the ship and you're used to
Yep.
chaos of kids, right?
Well, and you're doing things, you're parenting your way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they
And now
might
you
not
have to
always agree with how you parent, or, you know, they
Absolutely.
might have different ideas. And you're like, well, that's nice. I've been here for 6 months doing this by myself.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out.
I love that. That's really
Seeing
a
and being
good
able to kind of
observation.
relate to,
Yeah.
I recognized her face and how she reacted to seeing him after that. And look,
Yeah.
right? Like maybe you do jump right back into the relationship and maybe, right, what they say, heart grows fonder or the
Yeah.
same
Oh,
physical
absence makes the heart grow fonder, right?
Yeah. Or sometimes it burns out
Yeah.
the flame.
That's exactly right.
Juicy Joe's flame burnt out.
Yep, that's for sure. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, this has been a good one. I got to
Yeah.
tell you, this has been a lot of fun. I do want to say something about reinvention. Be careful not to think that when you reinvent yourself that it's failure. It's never failure, right? You know, the first job I ever got let go from was the one I just got let go from. I've always left of my own volition before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, this was a downsizing. It happens. It's corporate, and it happens in the corporate world. It's just the reality of what it is, especially now. My gosh, get out there and see, you know, Meta's cutting 10% of its workforce. You know, somebody else just cut like 10,000 jobs. I mean, it's crazy. Like when we see the cuts that
All
are
your
happening
big
now.
boys and all the little ones too. Everyone.
Exactly. It's
Everybody's
wild,
going.
right? But again, don't ever look at it as a failure, right? Reinvention isn't never because of failure. It's just proof that you're still writing your own story. I always say, one of my favorite things to say is that there are seasons in life, right?
Yeah.
There's just a season. Some seasons are hella hard.
Yeah.
And you would like them to be over. Like you'd really like them to, it's time for this to be over now, right?
Yeah.
You know, but in the end, it's just you're taking ownership. You're writing your story. Everything's going to be okay. Heifers.
That's right, heifers.
Right. So again, here we are. We're going to wrap it up, but we hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, let us know. We want to know your thoughts. Again, we want to know what you want to talk about. We want to know how you've reinvented yourselves. We want to know what's going on in your lives, the good, bad, and the ugly. We're here to share it and be real, talk about our struggles. Nobody's got it together. Nobody's perfect. We're just all doing the best we can, right?
We're all part of the same effing herd.
We
for sure.
are part of the same effing herd. And again, heifers, subscribe, like, follow us on our socials. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And it's time to what? Move on. Have a good week.
Bye, heifers.
Bye, heifers.